Have we all got a cuppa? Because we're probably going to need it for this astrology transit. Sit back, guys, grab a cuppa, and let's get into the deep of this transit and how to get the best out of it. Are we ready? A very warm welcome to YILDIZ Readings 5D. For those of you that don't know, I'm a psychic medium. I cover astrology, soul coaching, twin flame path and more. I am live weekly, so please click the bell and subscribe. And if you do want more creative content like this, come and join the tribe. Now for the join button, the link is directly below on the main page. You do get exclusive Your Eyes Only content, twin flame coaching, pre-release content and the extension reads. Without further ado, let's get into the video and I'll see you every Friday. Take care, guys. Hi guys, welcome back to YILDIZ Readings 5D. We're going to get into the 5 tips for this full moon in Aquarius. For those of us globally, this will be a very important pivotal time, and it can feel a little bit like an eclipse. It is going to be pretty heavy, and I really did wish to get this video done earlier. Nevertheless, we are here now. So the first tip I would say is, being that it's a full moon, it can be really exaggerated in a sense, so it can be very emotional, aggressive. So it's really important to either side of this moon, try and keep your distance of problems. Try and really sit and meditate and be gentle to yourself, but just be in total awareness. Look at, full moons are a peak point. With a peak point, it's a little bit like a blowing up point. It's culmination, it's an ending point, but intensity can be extreme. So many times you can see arrests and things to that degree, people having more accidents, hospitals being more full. It tends to come through at a full moon because it's the heightened polarity of the energy, and being that it is closer to the earth, our blood can boil, so to speak. So we may be quite intense in emotion and vibration. Number 2, the shadow sign of Aquarius is Leo, and currently we have Leo in the house of Mars. And we are also embodying a little bit of that Leo vigor, which is third eye. And Aquarius also is very much connected to humanitarianism. It's very rebellious. It doesn't go to the norm. It wants tribe mentality, but it'll fight for the underdog, so to speak. So again, from a collective consciousness point of view, because Saturn is in the house of Aquarius, or rather they're together, Jupiter also is, but currently it's visiting Pisces. We're getting this heightened experience of dominance coming towards us as people. So there can be, again, rebellion and agitation that comes with such. So the octane of such is very much an air energy. And the frustration really in society at the moment is everything's up in the air. Earth signs will find that energy very stagnation orientated, very a bit too toots, and I call it toots. It's like a little bit too much intuition over something that's physically tactile and solid that we can directly depend on. However, Saturn does require us to be such, but we're really having to move and flow and be quite flexible at the moment with the North Node and Gemini. Number 3. We need to know the subjects and the main dominants that are occurring around the moon, and to really understand why, what, where, why, how. The dominants that are coming through is Pisces. We do have Jupiter in Pisces up until the 28th, where it will shift. So at the moment, a lot of this energy coming through is the frustration points of certain placements. So I would say Aquarius, Leo, Virgo, and Pisces. And Taurus, due to the fact that we have Uranus and Taurus, and it's very Aquarius in nature. 4, make sure you understand how to care for yourself during this moon. The tips associated with care would be to keep away from white noise. Your auric field and your nervous system can be very stressed at this point because Uranus is very much connected to Aquarius. It's our spiritual core. It's our crown chakra. It can be our nervous system. So to eat light as we go into this moon, to do your salt baths, do your guided meditation for crown chakra, And understand that people can be aggravated. So if you are viewing things on the news and it is upsetting you and you're getting into this fixed paradigm, if this is how it's going to be forever, it can agitate you. So really choose healthy as to what you wish to view, how you're experiencing those vibrations, and trust the process that transformation's occurring, and avoid fights if possible. This too shall pass. Number 5. We are moving into a very brand new beginning, and a lot of this is going to make a lot more sense come August. So if things don't make sense, try not to make it so. Also try to move through this experience. Give it about 4 days either side. And as we move into August, I'll be here to guide you. I'll be doing the next moon phase, which will be Leo. And we can tuck into that energy. So don't automatically expect everything to look neat and tidy and perfect. It's a really good time to clear your home, and it's definitely a time to release and let go and tie up old projects. Let's get into how this transit's going and what the hard aspects and the good aspects are, and how we can navigate through it. And then we'll get into your zodiac by zodiac. You'll be able to see it above the screen, and it will have the image and the name of your zodiac, and you can stream forward and stream back. Take care. Okay, now as my girlfriend says, we want the what, where, why, and how, and it's so very important that we know how these moons directly relate to us, both at a collective level and a personal. Thus the reason why I've structured these videos very much with the key points, as well as the overall theme for the collective, and then individually for your zodiac sign each month. So we're going to tuck into the nature. Now, number 1, the angel number for this moon is a 24, okay? So 24 in angel number is to boost your self-belief and confidence. And again, because we have Leo there, we can be second guessing it, and we can initially on the octane of Mars be looking for outside ourselves when the answers are directly inside. So it's as above as below. It's really looking inside ourselves and getting to the heart of the matter. And that can be heart consciousness, but it also can be the false ego. So we may be feeling super confident and then super distorted, and it's perfectly normal. But it's asking us to go inside ourselves, to have faith in the process, that what this will be initiating is for us to look at something from a different perspective, and it will give us the courage to move forward. Breaking it down even further, it connects to angel number 6, which really resonates. We did just move away from the new moon in Cancer, which ironically on this occasion, it did feel quite purgatory, and that was because we had Mercury retrograde. Our auras were quite shocked. We did have the second square, which was occurring previous to such, which was June, and that was on the 14th, and we did have all that Uranus and Taurus energy coming through. So from the Cancer Capricorn axis, the moon was in Cancer, which is family, tribe, home, well-being. We had all those common themes that we had in 2020, and it was like getting stuck at home, maybe being codependent on the government, looking at how we could provide for ourselves, and we were revisiting such. So potentially some of us may have had to go back into hermit mode due to what's happening in the collective to all of us, and having to face that shadow of, you know, where we were to where we are. Now, the natural fear can be, oh my gosh, this is going to go on forever. But it's also to stop and view and look at it from a different side of the coin, but also look at maybe some quality systems of how we can effectively work with what's currently going on, and to look outside the box. But the boiling point is that we are concerned with the angel number 6, which is family, home, nurturing, and foundation. And when these situations are happening to us on the collective, it's almost like from the Virgo polarity, because we do have at the moment, I believe it's Mercury and Virgo. We're wanting to make sense. We've got Venus and Virgo. We have Mercury in Cancer. See, same polarity. So we're wanting to feel safe. We're wanting to feel as though we can do something. And the Virgo nature of things, which we are going to have Mars move into Virgo, so we will be directly looking at what we can do from a very rational point of view within the Mars element. At the moment, it's almost like, what can we do? What can we do? You know, penny little, the sky's falling down, but we need to calm down. But it naturally can be coming up. A solution will come. We will look outside the box and we will integrate. But initially, it's not going to look the prettiest. So we're going to get into the vibration of our strength. So Sun is both our identity, it's our strength, it's our energy. So at the first point, I can say there are very difficult aspects. So we do have the Sun in opposition to the Moon. Moon is emotion, Sun is energy. And again, with oppositions, it's tension points, and it's egoic tension points. We also have the Sun quincunxing Jupiter. So in a sense, our expansion and our growth, it's really hitting that Pisces spot. So we need to be careful about looking after our psychology. It's a great time to do guided meditation, and not all of us are going to fall into that box where we're going to compartmentalize it in some spiritual sense. We need rational 3D tools, and it's really showing that we really need to look after ourselves. We try not to get tense by things and fixating them in a very permanent sense. It is temporary, but our ego is saying, gee, this has been going on ever so long. And the frustration points can be coming to boiling points. So our emotions, as per se, and our energy levels, it's almost like we're hitting the wall. So it's hitting the wall to show us that something needs to give, something needs to shift. And especially with quincunxes, there's a left or right. So with the retrograde in Pisces, the one thing I can say between now and the 28th, we do need to pay very, very close attention to the Pisces placements. It's very Pisces in aura, even though it is a full moon in Aquarius. So any insight you've gained over the last few weeks, it's coming to a culmination point. It may reach its volcanic point. And then as the dust settles, we'll have revelations. And those revelations can give us ideas of where we want to be in 2022. And I have been saying this here at YouTube on my channel for the last few weeks. When we have it shift back into Aquarius on the 28th, things are going to make a little bit more sense. Don't jump to conclusions right away. For some of you, I'm going to mention it in your zodiac signs. It may be your career sector, it might be your health, but there's different ways we're going to do things, and we're actually going to have revelations about what we're doing to handle circumstances. Now, the moon in the emotional sense, both with our work placements, with our direct connections, with our ability to do things that we like, there are difficulties there. Again, the moon is making a quincunx to Venus and Virgo. So the moon is the emotional point of the collective. When it does come to being able to socialize, we're getting frustrated. Being in awareness of that is your saving grace. If you can be aware that the collective consciousness is reaching its volcanic point, it's the awareness that we're all joined, but also the awareness that, yes, this is shifting, but it could come out in the media. So, observe it like a painting. Move through it like a wave. Don't attack it like a paddle. That's about the best analogy I can give. Mercury, our day-to-day living, the way we think, the way we speak, direct movement. Again, we do have a beautiful aspect to Neptune. It's really going to show us what the dream is and what the distortion is. It's going to show us two stark polarities. And there's not one right or wrong. It's merely a perspective. But the heightened pinnacle is for that dream to happen. When it does come to our hopes and dreams and aspirations, what is the truth and what is a fallacy? There could be a bit of disclosure coming up. And there also could be gossip relating to such. So again, pay attention to the media. You may be seeing it. We're also going to have Mercury in opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. Now, the opposition point, again, is a difficulty. Pluto at the moment is structures and foundation. Mercury is being able to actually go out and do those things to build a building back up again. The restrictions, the dynamics, you get my point. It's going to be a frustrating moon. Now, with our contracts and trade, our well-being, our food, our resources, our emotions, our love life, how it's directly impacting it. Again, there are oppositions, but it's very temporary. So if you were wanting to put energy into your career sector or to get your money back on track or your love life, and there's been this slow and steady burn, you really will find a different polarity when we do hit August. And I have mentioned to a lot of you on YouTube that there is going to be that frustration there. We do need to be careful of both, you know, the element of Pluto is very much almost like, you know, and we did see it when we had Cancer Capricorn there, that a lot of old things that were working would remain, and then things that weren't working and were outgrown, they were breaking down. I do feel that there again will be accountability. I don't know where I'm hearing this, but I'm really hearing it. Accountability relating to our actions, but also the steps that are going to need to be taken for the movement forward. I do feel overall, both with mind, body, and soul and our health, it is going to be a tension point. I also feel people will be speaking quite loudly in relation to their frustrations. I also feel between now and August, there could be some revelations and changes, especially when it comes to holistic approaches or breakthroughs. We also need to be aware that we do have, at the moment, Black Moon Lilith in Gemini. So the growth in the movement is going to come from the full moon in Aquarius and its culmination point. But it's almost like from a manifestation point of view, we need to understand sometimes our mind is trying to problem solve. And when there isn't a way at that very point in time, sometimes just releasing and trusting and giving it a few days, a solution comes. Let's get into your zodiacs. Now, Aquarius, for you, this is your first house placement within the moon. So the moon is happening on the 24th and it is at 1 degree. So for you, it can be that suddenly you feel very different. Suddenly you feel everything's coming at you. First house can be the house of self, and it's selfhood. It's yes, it could come through that people are projecting towards you or maybe making you feel that you are being selfish. But again, it's you doing a meditation and maybe coming to terms with some things that don't resonate with you and what is. So it can feel like a soul walking, and especially for those of you that are experiencing a sudden return, it is a very large portal. Now, it can feel, like I said, a little bit like an eclipse. The other areas of your chart that can cause complications in this is that we do have Mars and Leo, and it is very passionate. So you can have passionate opinions with your connections, your friendship group, really trying to work very hard for your money, so to speak. And with the Pisces polarity coming through, which is really the shadow energy we're really facing, for your zodiac sign, Pisces connects into your second house of your resources. So, you know, whatever plans you're making, really use the time for meditation. Use it to intuitively tune into how you can transform your financial sector. Also, your self-esteem and self-worth can come up, and do a guided meditation for the crown chakra. Keep your fluid up. Try and keep out of conflict with other individuals. Go through the transformative portal. And yes, next month we will be having another moon in your zodiac sign. So pre-warned, forearmed. This can also be a time where you feel you are returning to your roots, and it can be a really beautiful time to do that self-discovery, but definitely be careful of conflict during this time. Give yourself a few days either side and be in awareness of your surroundings and that of what you do. Libra, now this has been an intense few months for you guys, and it is set to get better. The happiness is set to return, but it can be a very intense time. Now we can talk about full moons being purgatory. However, you know, the last few weeks, because we had the retrogrades, we had Mercury retrograde, it had been extremely intense. Now we do have Aries Chiron retrograde at the minute. It is transiting through your relationship sector, so you can be doing some internal healing and really wanting to get back to feeling like there's happiness and joy in life. If tension points have come up, there could potentially be a transformation in your beliefs relating to children, a transformation and epiphanies relating to creativity. So if you have a project that you're wanting to be launching, or you've been looking at what your passion and your love or luxuries are, this can also be artistic endeavors. This can come back on the table, but there can be tension points and pressure. I also feel, because we do have Jupiter in Pisces until the 28th, the 101 of what we experience with the retrograde, as it dips back into the house of Aquarius, we can have a lot more clarity. But there still can be tension and almost pressure of wanting to really bring things 360 and needing to have that purpose back in life. So yes, the tension points can be very much connecting in with the 5th house. And 5th house is also intimacy, love, and how you experience romance, with Aries and Chiron retrograde as well. You know, trying to be too many things to too many people, and you might find you feel like a little bit like a circus act at the minute. Keep away from dramas. Try to not personalize things, even if you are doing a lot of shadow work. This too, Libra, will pass. If you do need coaching, come through. And you'll find that during this time, yes, we can hear from people from the past. And it is an opportunity to clear things out, to talk about them, but also to try not to be an ego and hear things out, providing there's communication, of course. But yes, you can have a deeper understanding on this level and clarity, and more of a balanced energy can come through the 28th. Now, because we are focusing also on the placement of Pisces, pay attention to your health. Situations relating to pets can come up. Also, really looking at your mind, body, soul, getting into alignment, doing your spiritual baths, disconnecting from the outcome, keeping away from white noise at this time, and doing things that do feel pleasurable. But also, I would say, pay attention to your surroundings. And anything you do need to shift about and finalise, do before the full moon. And if you can't, it'll tie over in the next few days as we move forward. 6th house can be huge pressure. So there is this massive expectation for us to level up. And some things are in our control, some things aren't. And sometimes we need a little bit of time to meditate on that so we can have deeper clarity. You guys are really good at quality control. Potentially with Virgo at the moment, the placements in Virgo are connecting into your 12th house. So even more time to really release any outdated beliefs, to really allow the mind to find these creative solutions, but also to not be too critical on yourself at this time. If you don't have the answers, allow them to come when they're ready. So do the guided meditation, I would say, for the crown chakra. Eat food groups that are going to balance your mind, body and soul and nervous system. And wait till about the 28th for things to make sense. Gem, are you still with us? It has been a hectic few months. Now, yes, I'm mentioning a few months because we did have Mercury retrograde in Gemini, and we also now have Black Moon Lilith in your zodiac sign, plus the North Node. So it has been a lot of pressure for you guys. There has been a lot of spiritual changes. And, you know, with Jupiter dipping into Pisces, we sort of took this little holiday down 2022 lane, okay? So, number one, that's not a bad thing. From a Jupiter experience, it's expansion and liberation and transformation. And you guys are very good with the way you balance things and see things. And then you add Pisces to that mix, and it takes you on a bit of a psychedelic trip. I do feel for your zodiac sign, it may have affected your aura a little bit. And especially from your chart, I'm seeing that you have been super, super busy. So be it it's your communication, be it you feel like you're running around like a headless chook, or maybe really intuitively thinking about things that are said, what you do, how you show up. You know, again, I will say your communication sector, short trips, having to run about, very Mercury in orientation. It has been exhausting you, so to speak. Now, Pisces at the moment in your career sector maybe gave you a 101 of what you were doing, and you started maybe even developing different ways of doing things, maybe returning to work, maybe looking at the bigger picture of where you were going. It's almost like it can bring it through in two polarities, and we are all of us going to dip into yin and yang. Some of us will fall into the higher octane, some of us will drop into the lower, and that's directly through the way we handle stress and how we can handle transformations and changes. So in your career sector, if it is changing and you do feel you put a lot of work in either to your love life or whatever you're doing, there is a change there, but it's asking you to look at a different way to do such. So it may be quality assuring your work, looking at the bigger picture. Do you resonate with your employment? As we move towards the full moon in Aquarius, all of these questions are going to come up, and it can feel a tension point. So whatever's happening in the collective can amplify that of what is already happening in your own personal chart. With your chart, again, pressure points coming to both your purpose, maybe thinking about upskilling or doing a short course, maybe thinking about travel and what is going on in the collective. But your value systems can come up. Just be careful of those. It's not that it's bad, but there can be stress points. So food for thought. I would definitely support your aura through throat chakra, because you do have Mars there at the minute. Pay attention to your throat. Also look after your mind, body, soul with crown chakra activation. Keep your fluid up. You can do some spiritual baths. And separately, try to not put too much pressure on yourself. You know, career sector for you is going to be enhanced, and 2022 is set for glory. So any small steps you're taking, be gentle to yourself and wait till about August the 3rd for things to become clearer. Okay, Aries, let's have a look at your chart. Now, number one, I will say, with this full moon in Aquarius, there already is some stress points because you did have some great energies coming through. And yes, we all experienced the difficulties over the last few weeks. The enhancement that you're having really did come from your career sector. So there was endings, there was new beginnings with the Capricorn moon. There's huge transformations, and especially on the home front, there can be some new energy coming through with your routine. So it may be things are flowing and maybe they weren't really flowing. Some of you may have gone into hermit mode for a little bit to really connect with people that you have strong connections with. You also at this point may be really looking at what your purpose is in life. Now, if it has been really gloom and doom, you have your 12th house there at the moment with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter isn't nasty. Jupiter is very expansive. It's a lot of spiritual growth. It's a beautiful energy, but you add Neptune into the mix and it takes us to the stark polarity. And like I said, we'll all fall into the yin and yang. If we are feeling we are spiritually on purpose in our life and doing the things that resonate with us, we're going to achieve these moon energies in a bit better of an octane. If we're not and we feel we're not on mission and we're not doing what we feel we're meant to be doing, and we're doing the Abraham Hicks but in reverse, very much rowing up the rapids, not going with them, it can be a more difficult experience. If you do feel you really don't know what your purpose is, you could have issues at the minute. Be really careful at work with superiors, especially moving in and out of the full moon. Knowing where you can show up. If you are finding that situations you're dealing with are full of burdens, it can really amplify it near the full moon. And it's going to give you a sudden revelation of, sometimes it can be you're working and you're thinking, wow, I got a pay rise and this is great. And then you look at the polarity of the burdens and the responsibilities and you're like, really, is this what it's cut out to be? It's all going to link very individually. For some of you, yes, it can be a circumstance like that. Others of you, it's almost like having an existential crisis and going, is this my purpose? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Don't take it personal that some of you could be meditating upon that. It's okay to change. A lot of you at the moment are personally really evolving and shedding skin, and that's a very beautiful thing in itself. It can feel frightening and unusual, but you are going to get a lot of great ideas with Jupiter and Pisces. Now, it dips back into Aquarius. There could be some tension points initially with the full moon, but as it moves towards the 28th, you're going to have deeper clarity on how you can achieve all things. Sometimes it can be this feeling that we're trying to make everyone happy. And, with whoever you are connecting to and what your purpose is, you're going to have deeper clarity by the time we move into August. I would really recommend doing a guided meditation, especially if you're really needing to get grounded. Number one, I would say for you, get grounded. The other thing I would say, if you are overburdening yourself, tackle some of those tasks. Even if it can't be achieved before the full moon, and you're trying to really simplify life, really look at it from a practical point of view, but do such after the moon. Kind of adjust, really heal, get grounded, and then make a list. And that's where we have our power, is when we start problem solving. You know, wherever we find the problem, there could potentially be a way we can step back from the painting and find a solution. And I do feel a lot of you maybe will have this peak point and have revelations directly after. Now, Leo, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys are physically fatigued. It has been pretty intense. Try and trust the process. Look, we do have Mars and Leo, so number one, you may be having more energy. Some of you may be having experiences at the minute, moving into the full moon in Aquarius, where your nervous system is shocked. And it's almost like you're looking at the polarity between you and what your social responsibility is. It's like trying to do too much, maybe fearing the process, feeling that tension point, and trying to be everything to everyone. Now, currently we have Pisces in your 8th house of deeper intimacy. It's also the give and take, and it is teaching us a very valuable lesson. 8th house can be healthy codependency. It can be that of what we need to depend on. But it's an openness. It can be secrets. It can be taxation, death, endings. And Pisces is very spiritual. It's also asking you, you know, what can you do? Where is the stability? What is there? What needs to change around to bring that to you? Is it something inside you, or is it something outside of yourself? So you may have felt that you were healing over these circumstances. Also, relationship kinks may have been really amplified at this time. And like I said, we're going to fall into 2 octanes through this moon. And full moons are always culmination points. It is at 1 degree. What you can find is both with the things that you like, you know, taking responsibility for our budget, looking at where our money's at, our nutrition, our well-being, you know, and having these burdens where we're trying to juggle like a clown. It's really coming down to your relationship sector. So it can be your friendship groups, it might be trying to work, it could be your love life, and you know, everything kind of coming at you. Now, I will say that between now and the 28th, it can be tense. If, for instance, you're in a connection and it's, you know, you're evolving, you're changing, you can come to a culmination point of transformation. For others of you, yes, this could be going from one situation to another, going from being partners to going to being engaged. It can be, you know, for the lower polarity, it can be breakups. It can be, look, I can't do this anymore. This is driving me crazy. Enough is enough. And it doesn't mean to say things can't change and heal. So don't ever take everything as gospel. It's an energy. But it also gives you a bit of 101 awareness of where it's going to hit. Now, it will return to a beautiful energy directly after, but the tension points and the warning dates are between now and very much August the 3rd. So if you are feeling these intensities and you can communicate, do it really lightly. Do it with awareness that everyone can be very, very agitated. If it is a hostile situation, yes, it can be amplified. So be aware of that, especially if it's been really nagging on your mind and it hasn't been evolving. All of us collectively really need to be very careful during this moon to not get mad. I do see, if you have been working extremely hard, this could be brand new beginnings, new contracts coming through, new job offers, so to speak. And you also could have something that's very, very stable. And many of you are really planning for your future. It's, where's my nest? How can I protect myself? How can I protect my own? And I do feel you guys are really trying to move into that co-creative energy. And after the new moon in Cancer, a lot of that was coming through to you, but some pain body experiences potentially may have. So please don't second guess yourself. This is going to turn out wonderful. It's merely moving through these experiences, having the awareness of them so that we can directly react to it in a healthier format. Hi Sagittarius, let's have a look at yours. Now, yes, it has been, as for you and Gemini in the zodiac signs, it has been pretty tough because you have been having a first house placement. Now, for you inside your connections, there has been a lot of changes. There also may have been a pocket of time of really, really deep connections, reflection, and really looking back down memory lane, some positive, some negative. You may find really tackling the foundation, really tapping into, what you can directly depend on from a tactile point of view. That has been coming up after the new moon in Cancer. Now, spiritually, that might have caused a bit of angst, especially when we do look at what is happening in the collective. It's also where you may have been feeling, what can you do to change these things, especially if these circumstances were really out of your hands. You have been transforming through this for about the last year and a half, and it is almost coming to a close. So rest assured, this is going to ease up in your life where it will be a lot lighter than it currently is. The full moon in Aquarius really can be a tension point, especially if you have way too much on your plate and you're really trying to simplify things, trying to be everything to everyone, so to speak. You will get a lot more movement and momentum. Do pay attention to driving, especially with anger and frustration. Keep in your awareness of where you are. Also, make sure that your vehicle's in check. For some of you, it could be out with the old and in with the new, with that dynamic. But I do feel that, a lot of home-related dynamics are coming up, and it might be psychologically, it could be physically needing to move home. If that has been a subject matter, you may find that you get some sense of momentum. Some of you really are looking at your daily routine and how you kind of balance life psychologically. So yes, the tension points can be there, and we can accidentally take it out on people. So we do need to be very careful, especially for your zodiac sign of the throat chakra. So pay attention to how you communicate. Double check your emails. It's not Mercury retrograde, but again, when we are frizzled and we have too much on our plate, or we're feeling tense, it may be that over obligation energy. I do feel many of you do need to actually get more rest, but there could potentially be things that are really frustrating you, especially to do with well-being, safety, and sanctuary. It is going to pass, but the culmination point really does come through in your third house. Now, third house can be sometimes siblings, but you do need to be careful about how you express yourself, because it can be more of an aggressive energy coming through, especially if your nervous system is affected. So food for thought, it will pass. You're not going crazy. Try and have that patience, express it, maybe have a code word for the people involved, so that you can get the best out of the circumstance. And then as it cools down, you can address it. Beautiful Cancer. Let's have a look at your zodiac sign. Now, yes, for you guys, it may have been an intense few weeks, especially because we did have the full moon in Capricorn, and we also had the new moon in Cancer. Now, new moons usually are very good, and it's not that they're not going to be beautiful, Cancer. It's that initially when we're having that integration, it is very first house placement. Yes, we're talking about Aquarius. Don't worry, I'm getting to it. So personally, you may have felt that you were suddenly having this change. Maybe feeling very different, maybe having a 101 and going, wow, I've done a 360, I see things different. You also inside yourself may be evolving and noticing how far you've come, but definitely from your relationship sector and your connections that you had before, you're really opening up to look at connecting in with new people. So that's a really beautiful facet of what you just have moved out of. Now, it may have been very difficult. Some of you could have been experiencing headaches through July and previously moving to this point due to the fact that we had Mercury retrograde in Gemini. Now, if you felt like your mind was a circus act and you had way too many creative ideas and you were having lots of what we call in the spiritual community downloads 101, then it's perfectly normal. So please don't think you're crazy. Gemini is transiting your 12th house. Really great time for mapping and planning, and you may get a bit more clarity now moving forward. The stress points for you at the minute can be coming from the Pisces placements are moving towards the 8th house. Now, the 8th house can be deep intimacy. It can be stability. It can be that of what we can depend on. And sometimes we can feel there's nobody there for us. Sometimes we can have triggers and emotions really looking, especially for you, Cancer, if you are a family person and you're trying to provide for your family and do the right thing, it can feel like the pressure is really boiling. Do remember that other people are there for you too, and really do have that understanding understanding, especially through the last few weeks, that that's okay to need. I do feel things are going to really be closing out. They're going to sort out better than you think. But moving into it, you could feel tense. Like, okay, where is my stability? Where is my sanctuary? For some of you, there may be a transition of home and accommodation. And that may be because between now and September, there is that movement happening there within your chart. And for some of you, it could already be playing out. For others of you, it may be the look of your daily routine and how to create the balance and how to be in alignment. So yes, the tension points can come from that polarity. But I do feel if you are trying to tie up a loose end or come to terms with things, it can be coming up at the minute. But being open to people, and I do feel for a lot of you, you may have had issues with trusting individuals, especially with your utmost of personal information. I do feel it's going to go in your favour. So trust the process. Do be aware of connections and sharing things around that time. You know, if you need to keep that element of privacy, go into the Scorpio element and be cautious of who you share your things with. But also you may find that you can have a revelation to do with things, especially your friendship groups, and really be looking at two polarities. So some of you could have a pain body experience. You could be suddenly meeting new people and going, wow, you know, I'm seeing a stark difference. So be open to it, but also use your intuition. And I feel if you can move through that and rebuild that trust, it can be very healthy. But for many of you, if there is difficulties, it is going to change. Hey Scorpio, all these changes driving you crazy? Yeah, I'm with you. My North Node's in Scorpio. Now, lots of changes happening on the home front, Scorpio. Now, this can be your daily routine. It might be that you had been extremely busy with creative projects, maybe looking at your creative pursuits, your spirituality, your ideals, psychic development in the 5th house. You may have been extremely psychic. You might have also felt that people didn't understand you. They weren't really seeing your vision and understanding. And if there had been difficulties for those of you that have children, it can ease off at a point. Many of you are going to have the huge polarity hitting your 4th house, which is your daily routine. It's your home, it's your safety, it's your well-being. For some of you, yes, it could be that you move home. For others of you, it could be that a circumstance surrounding home comes to a close and resolves. But yes, there can be tension points around the time of the full moon. So if you are socialising, be careful what you say, be careful what you do, be cautious and be in awareness, because people can have heightened emotions. So if these things do pop up, trust the process and understand, yes, this too shall pass, but be in awareness of it. So if it does kind of flare up, it's kind of, you know, this too shall pass. Let's put it that way. The other growth you can have is that as it moves back, and if there has been stagnancy and delays associating with home, say if you had any projects, that could be coming to an end now and you can start actually moving forward. But initially there could be some intensity. Moving out, it's a brand new beginning in that location. And we definitely are going to have another full moon to really tidy those loose ends up in August in the same house. So crown chakra meditation for your nervous system, especially if people are a bit moody. Definitely clear your home. You can do a smudging energy, and you can put crystals to actually prevent poor communication, so to speak. So yeah, I'd do a house clearing. I would also balance my base chakra and be in awareness, and just stick to yourself if you can. Have a quiet one, move through it. But definitely things to do with family can come up. It should kind of plateau out. So my love and thoughts are with you. It is going to be beautiful. Trust the process. For some of you, even moving into this creative energy and maybe having these beautiful opportunities coming through can also really give you more sanity when it does come to your stability at home. So, you know, some of you might just want to go into hermit mode. But the other thing I would say is finances can be growing. So pull the hands out, Scorp, and grab them by the horns. Pisces. Okay, very well welcome. Now, yes, my mother's Pisces, and she said to me, YILDIZ, is it ever going to get better? Yes, it is. Now, Pisces is a beautiful frequency. You guys know how this rolls, okay? You're better than us than we are. However, it is transiting in Neptune at the moment. So yes, it could have really been frizzling your nerves. You may have been really critical of yourself at times. You may have been struggling with diet and nutrition, and that's due to the fact Jupiter expands things. So, you know, mine falls in my 6th house. I have to pay attention to such. And yours is 1st house. So it's kind of similar to mine. So if there's tension points there, it's all to do with our spirituality and psychology. It can be emotions. It can be looking at things differently and going, okay, is it allergies? Is it emotions? What are those things? But also very differently, you could be evolving and outgrowing certain things. So it might be, I don't resonate with this hairdo. I don't resonate with these people, places and things. So it can happen on so many different levels, but it is 1st house placement. Now, if you felt disillusioned and maybe not having faith in yourself and maybe disconnecting from things, it can feel of what we do call in the spiritual community a soul walk-in. It's a bit like a snake, shedding skin, don't resonate, but we may not be initially trusting the process. When we do have this full moon in Aquarius, which will really be playing out between now and August, we're going to have another one in August on the 22nd. So pre-warned, forearmed, same subjects will come up, but they will have different polarities because of the aspects. At the moment, there's a lot of tension points. So we're guided to be very careful with our throat, with our communication, with the way we perceive things, and trying not to be too fixed. At the minute, it's moving back into your 12th house. So as above, as below. The hidden vault, our subconscious mind, as above, as below, in this terminology, is really showing you of, you know, what we think is what we are. What we feel is what we will be. But it's looking at your mind and your belief systems. It's also a really beautiful place that you can feel a bit more like everyone's getting along. As my sister said, you know, whenever anyone would have a fight, it was bunnies and dolphins and starfish, and it was anything to kind of lighten the mode so that we would all just get along. So many of you can be feeling that. It's like looking at everyone, wanting everyone to get along, maybe having dramas, thinking about your groups and your connections. Maybe even feeling a bit like you want to rebel and you want to speak your mind, and that's okay too, but this full moon could be aggressive, so be careful of speaking your mind, especially because we do have Black Moon Lilith transiting your 4th house. Be careful of family, and crosswise also be careful of your health, because your emotions can navigate through this, and we can tend to get with Mars transiting your 6th house, inflammation. And with the Virgo placement, do look into caring for yourself, you know, doing what you can within your control, caring for yourself, your nutrition and your diet. And because it's landing in your Venus house, you know, it could be a good time for checkups. So because it is in your 7th house, it could be very much the Venus areas of your body. So the lower frame, the base chakra, you know, that kind of area from a chakra point of view, not a medical point of view. Anything you directly feel you need looking at, definitely always seek professional advice, but this is from an astrological point of view. So care for those areas. Eat healthy, make sure you keep your fluid up, and try not to get too stressed. If you know, go and have a bath. And if you can't have a bath and you only have a shower, you can use some bath salts, which you still can use in the shower, or even dissolve the salts down and you can rinse yourself off if your skin's more sensitive. Even just washing to neutralize, to wash the energy off, is going to do enough. You can smudge your home and really keep out of conflict during this time. Just be in awareness that everyone could be tense. Ride the storm out. As we move over, we can have this brand new beginning, and definitely from a conscious point of view, you can have a lot of epiphanies and feel lighter at heart. How bizarre. This is the 2nd time I'm recording it. It's almost like it vanished in thin air, and it was so relevant what I said. So let's get down to it. Number 1, do not loan money at the minute. Number 2, be careful of your routine. Be careful with driving because the concentration threshold might not be there. You could be getting really, really tense if you're trying to pull everything together. You're doing those short trips. It's important to be in awareness because we do have the North Node in Gemini, and currently in your chart there are aspects that can say we need to be cautious. I do feel you're gaining your confidence. Especially when it comes to speaking and trusting in the things that you are doing, that they're going to turn out fine. And many of you can be reconnecting from people from the past and really ushering brand new connections into your life. We can all drop into the lower and the higher octane during this time. So some of us can be extremely triggered and moody and verbal and in ego. Some of us, due to those experiences of our health and our psychology, could be really reaching its pivotal point. So we need to be gentle on ourselves during this time so that we don't go crazy. The full moon in Aquarius is hitting your second house. So if somebody owes you anything, it can be coming back. If you've done a good deed, it can be coming back. But being that it's a full moon, it's also paying the ferryman. If those circumstances are coming up, it's probably best not to loan and not to create anything on a hunch. Really wait it out till August. And I would say even till after August. It is because we're having 2 full moons in Aquarius. The first one is happening on the 24th of July. The next one is happening on the 22nd of August. Now, we'll have to look deep into that chart. The aspects will be different, so it may turn out different, but do come through for the next moon video and I'll be able to give you a heads up. I do feel some of you are going to also have great beginnings relating to your professional resources. So if you feel that you know, what you're worth, what your values are, how you directly feel about yourself, or building your future to stability, they may be your assets, your tactile goods, land, value, that's set to increase. So whatever big changes you're making, it is really going to benefit you. So every little step you make, try not to rush it. If you're feeling disillusioned, it's going to loosen up by the 28th and some of those projects can start moving ahead. Definitely brand new energies and love. So I would be careful with your third eye. I would also be careful with your throat chakra and snappiness. But also trust the process that you're worthy. Second house can be self-esteem. Some circumstances might have knocked you for 6. Trust the process that's happening to all of us. And don't look at, you know, the circumstances that they're happening to you. They're happening for you. Taurus, let's have a look at your chart and see how this is playing out. Your day-to-day routine might have been a bit tense, but yes, it can be easing up. Definitely from a communication point of view, you can find it can ease up, but you could be at the moment a little bit snappy, you know, towards your daily routine, your runabouts, the things you need to do. Although we have the new moon in Cancer at the moment, because Mercury is transiting Cancer, it can be emotional. So, you know, the frustration level can be there with partners, kids, family members. So we do need to be careful. Again, I would say for you, do not rush, especially not when driving. Keep the concentration levels there. And if you need to, just turn the key off and sit in the car and calm down. Do breathing exercises, sing a funky song, but not a funny one. It's almost like one of those moments where you've got to get to the point you can find a song and change the words and laugh at it, maybe just to go sane. I do feel during this time the biggest change is going to be in your career sector and what you're doing. Maybe you've been overburdening yourself. Maybe you're feeling guided to, for some of you, return to work or change it up. But it's almost like you could be leaving a job, you could be going into a job, but something's got to give. During this time frame of Jupiter in Pisces, you may have really been looking at what you wanted to do. This could be within the career you're already in, what your purpose is, how to tackle projects and how to fine-tune it, and how you can be everything to everyone. And I do feel from a soul healing, you've seen the reality and you've seen the falsity. So we've really looked at both sides of the fence and now we need to culminate it. It can ease up where your tension to do with what you have to do in your daily routine is alleviated. But initially there can be some stress points and frustration, and potentially our emotions can come through in the way we communicate. So for you, it may come through in your throat chakra. Also, if there has been tension at home and you've been doing way too much, sometimes it's almost nervous energy trying to deal with family related dynamics, maybe the cooking, the cleaning, the washing. It may be arguing with parents and having very firm, strong opinions. For others of you, it could have been that you needed to move home. The tension points, as I mentioned there, it will ease up, but you're going to find it's towards the 28th. Hi, beautiful Virgo. Let's have a look at your chart. Now, we are having this full moon in Aquarius, and many of you, it might have been that you were looking at the yin to the yang. And we're going to talk about it because moving into this full moon in Aquarius, with both Jupiter and Neptune retrograde in Pisces, as I mentioned, there's quite dominant energies coming through with Pisces at the minute in the astrology. You did look at the higher octane and the lower octane of all your connections. Now, that might have been your work commitments. It might have been your friendship groups. It might have been you were romanticizing things and having these feelings, or maybe spiritually feeling very connected to your romantic interest. It may have been that it both grew, it showed the light, and it showed, the little devil under the carpet. But usually it's how you directly are affected by connections. So Pisces is very spiritual. It is what is your spiritual connection. Neptune is what is delusion. Where is the transformation and change, and what would we need to do? And sometimes these can be fallacies. They can be circumstances where we're being strict on ourselves and we're feeling we need to be something for somebody, but they never actually really required that. So it can be our belief systems that we are actually believing and embodying, and then suddenly we have this revelation. It's like, they don't actually expect that from me. I expect that from me. So I did have the 1st and the 7th house in 2017-18. So I am speaking from a personal transit experience. So if you are being a bit harsh on yourself, or you're feeling as though there's tension points there, just sit with that notion for a little bit and understand that if you look at life like a painting, especially in your connections, it can give you just a different perspective. And especially because you are a Virgo, you can be very critical on self. Your needs count, you're important, your feelings are important as well. So it's just about looking at both polarities, but not having huge benchmarks. Number one, you can have some massive breakthroughs. And I was really looking forward to Virgo season, or the Virgo energy rather, so that we could practically, logically start problem solving. So hats off to you, Virgo. Thank you for sharing this energy with us. I would say with this full moon in Aquarius, again, health related, you could find that you reach a closure point. You also could find that looking at healthy boundaries, 6th house is very unique. It's the house of level up. It's the house of hidden enemies. From my experience with the 6th house, it also can be our structure and our routine and getting things in order and what we could do, but practically looking at what we were basing circumstances on, and sometimes they're fallacies, and then we have these 101s of Jupiter retrograde in Pisces, and the Neptune jumped in retrograde, and we had this huge awakening. It was like, okay, I need to look at this differently, deal with it differently, reshape everything so that I can have a grounded situation, so I can feel spiritually in alignment, so I don't need to use band-aids to cope with the frequencies, i.e. pacifiers, caffeine, the bottom of the bottle energy, things that are healthy for us, things that we actually cope with. So if there are tension points, pay attention to your nutrition at the minute. Your nervous system could experience some sense of dynamics. Eat slowly. Allow your body to relax into it. But also trust the process. Standing in our power doesn't have to be aggressive. These things can get back into balance, but it's almost like you're looking at the bigger picture of everything you need to do and where you had potentially put things on hold. With Aries and Chiron retrograde at the moment, you can have some wounds relating to stability, deeper intimacy, endings. Endings are actually brand new beginnings, so food for thought. And it doesn't mean something's going completely. It means it's transforming. And so we're learning about these things, but we're also learning about what we've based our circumstances on. You know, were things give and take, or weren't they give and take? So the full moon in Aquarius is landing in your 6th house. 6th house is all to do with work, the house of hidden enemies, your work environment, your habits, routines, and health. And what we can do to grow them. Sometimes it can feel like a soul walk and we're transforming. But there can be things that we have to say, hey, this is unhealthy. I need to change this. I'm within my power. I'm not going to get angry, but I'm going to do something to change these circumstances. Love and light. Take care. Now, the aspects and the transits are above on the screen. And yes, we do also have the information of what is coming up in August. We do have another full moon in Aquarius, so the dates are linked. And also, if you do like this content and you do want a personal booking, the information is directly below. Please remember to click the bell because I give you notifications of being in the Twin Flame room in the Members Hub, which has 3 sessions. It's $11 a month. And also what dates I come to you, which is every Friday, 10 a.m. Greens Mention time. So click the bell and you'll get a notification. And if you do subscribe, you will get those because the lives don't get notifications, guys. Last but not least, if you want a private booking, you can go to the link below and I will see you for all the up-to-date content here at YILDIZ Readings. Stay tuned for the guided meditation that'll be premiered. Otherwise, love and light.